Have you ever really stopped to think about what makes an idea last? I mean, really last, like for centuries. It's not just about how great the idea is. It turns out it has a lot more to do with something you can actually touch, the page it's written on. And that's exactly what we're going to dive into today.
I mean, this is the big question, right? Every single civilization has had to deal with it. We come up with these incredible stories, these brilliant laws, mind-blowing discoveries. But then what? How do you make sure all that stuff sticks around after you're gone? How do you stop all that wisdom from just, poof, disappearing?
Well, it turns out the medium is just as important as the message. You gotta have a sturdy boat to carry those ideas down the river of time. Seriously, the stuff you write on can literally be the difference between a whole culture's memories surviving or just being lost forever.
All right, so let's go looking for a good home for all this memory. Our story, it really kicks off in ancient Egypt. And believe me, those guys were obsessed with making things last, especially when it came to writing. So in the early days, the options had some serious drawbacks. I mean, sure, you could carve something into stone, and it would last forever. But good luck carrying a library of stone tablets around with you, right? Then you have clay, also super durable, but man, was it heavy and clunky. But then came papyrus. This stuff was made from reeds that grew along the Nile. It was light, you could carry it around. It was an absolute game changer. You could say it was Egypt's great gift to the world of writing.
But here's the catch. For all its amazing qualities, papyrus had one fatal flaw. It was just too fragile. If it got damp, it would rot away. Use it too much, and it would start to crack and fall apart. It just wasn't a permanent home for words. It was clear that if we wanted our stories to really survive, we needed something a whole lot tougher.
And you know what? The solution came from somewhere totally unexpected. Not from a plant this time, but from an animal. And this new material, well, it would go on to become one of the most crucial technologies for preserving knowledge that the world had ever seen.
That new material was parchment. Now, it's made from animal skin, but, and listen, this is a really important point, it is not leather. Totally different things. See, leather is tanned, which makes it soft. Parchment goes through a whole other process that creates this smooth, firm, almost glowing surface that was basically engineered for one thing and one thing only, to hold ink perfectly.
And making this stuff wasn't some happy accident. Oh no, it was a really sophisticated process. You had these incredibly skilled artisans who knew exactly how to clean the skin, stretch it super tight on a frame, and then scrape it down until it was perfectly even and smooth. For its time, this was absolutely high-tech stuff. Okay, so now we've got our two big contenders ready to face off. In this corner, the reigning champion from Egypt, Papyrus, and in the other corner, the toughest nails newcomer, Parchment. And this wasn't just about switching materials. This was a showdown that was going to change the future of information forever. And when you put them side by side, the differences are huge. Papyrus, plant-based. Parchment, animal-based. Papyrus, fragile. Parchment, super tough. But the real game-changing advantages were flexibility and usability. See, you could fold parchment and you could easily write on both sides. Now that might not sound like a big deal, but trust me, those two little features, they were about to change everything. And you have to remember, this wasn't just some abstract upgrade for historians to talk about later. Think about the scribes, the actual people whose job it was to write everything down. For them, this new material was a total revolution. The surface they wrote on controlled their entire life's work. You know, what kind of ink they could use, how they wrote, even how they stored all that knowledge. So this new surface didn't just make things a little better, it actually unlocked a brand new way of organizing knowledge, changing the whole structure of information itself.
Think about it. Because parchment was so strong and flexible, you could finally fold it without it breaking. And if you can fold it, you can stack the folded sheets. And if you can stack them, you can sew them together right down the middle. And that one simple idea, that one physical property, it led to
This, the Codex, which is basically the first book. Papyrus was perfect for scrolls, sure, but you had to unroll the whole thing to find what you were looking for. Parchment, with its ability to be folded and sewn, gave us the book format we still use today. And that, right there, changed reading forever.
Just imagine the power this new format unleashed. With a codex or a book, you can just flip to any page you want, instantly. You can compare what's on page 10 with what's on page 100 in a split second. They were way easier to store, way easier to carry. The book wasn't just a better box for information. It fundamentally changed how we could interact with our own knowledge.
So what's the big takeaway here?
What's the ultimate legacy of this ancient stuff? Why should you and I care about it today? Well, it's pretty simple. Parchment was the technology that allowed our collective memory, as a civilization, to survive.
Yeah, that's really the key. For more than 1,000 years, parchment was basically the high-tech, super durable hard drive of civilization. It was the one material that people trusted to carry their most important texts. We're talking sacred scriptures, foundational laws, epic poems, scientific discoveries, safely from one generation to the next.
I mean, we're talking over 1,000 years. For more than a millennium, long before paper was common in Europe, parchment was king. Just try to wrap your head around that. An entire 1,000 years of human thought, creativity, and history, all of it saved on pages made from processed animal skin. It's incredible.
And that's the direct line to us, right here, right now. The reason you can go and read the works of ancient philosophers, or study a document like the Magna Carta, or just be amazed by the incredible art in the Book of Kells, it's all because scribes, centuries ago, copied them onto this incredibly tough material. Without parchment, our connection to the past wouldn't just be blurry, it might not be there at all.
Which, of course, leaves us with a pretty big question for our own time, doesn't it? Their words found a home on parchment, and that home lasted for centuries. But what about us? In our world of fleeting screens, corrupted files, formats that become obsolete in a few years, and servers that just disappear. What's our parchment? What are we writing our legacy on that will carry our ideas safely into the future?